Welcome to Conversations with Laurel. Everyone, I am your host, Laurel.mchargue. And today I have with me a friend. I'll call him a friend. And, no, not hiding anything. I've known Cam Torrens for several years now. Cam is a 30 plus year retired officer from the United States Air Force, right? Air Force Academy. You're an Air Force Academy graduate?
I am, yes.
I, of course, am a West Point graduate. So we have this little friendly rivalry going on whenever Army and Air Force play. We won't talk anymore about that. We're not going to talk about Navy at all because, we're just not even going to mention them, even though I think you have people in the Navy. But anyway, you are also married to a kick-ass Air Force woman. You are the father of six children. You are a leader in the search and rescue community. Yeah, you're all that plus an author. Welcome, Cam Torrens.
Thanks for having me, Laurel. I sure appreciate it. It's good to be on again.
It's good to have you on. So let me just tell people a little bit about the fact that you have so many books out right now. And the last one that I read is called Scorched, Burn Me Once, which is again, great title. And when you were first turning into an author, when I met you, Stable was the first book that I read. And then I read Fall Summit. And again, these all have a search and rescue angle to them. So I guess first of all, I want to ask you, with everything that you are and still are, um, why'd you turn into an author? What made you write? Were you bored?
Well, I was warned as I approached retirement in the Air Force that I needed to find work because that I was the type of personality that just wouldn't be able to sit around being a retired guy. And I actually found that I didn't have any problems with that. I had no desire to get back behind a desk and work. And I hit my passion for reading twice as hard as I did when I was active duty because I had more time. And the more I read, the more I thought, "Ah, gosh, these people bring me such joy with the books. I want to give a shot at giving that back and seeing if I can write a book similar to the types of books that I like." And so coincidentally, it was about a month before COVID kicked off. I said, well, I'm going to try to write a book. And that's how I got started.
Trying to write a book. Yeah, and so your series is called it's a Tyler Zahn novel series, and Tyler Zahn is your main character. I kind of have a feeling that a lot of these books are autobiographical in nature. And again, knowing you and reading what Tyler's going through, some of his things, some of it, I have a hard time separating you from him. Is this true? Is this a write what you know kind of uh, thing going on?
Well, when I started off, I heard you should write what you know. And I thought, well, I know about 30 years worth of Air Force stuff, but I don't actually read that many military thrillers. And I wanted to write books similar to what I was interested in. And so I took my main character and I took him out of the military, able to draw back on some of his military experiences, his backstory. But I set him into what I was currently doing, which was search and rescue out here, which I got involved in soon after we moved to Buena Vista, Colorado. And yeah, the character semi-autobiographical in that he's in search and rescue and I'm in search and rescue, and we live in the same place. I joked that I made him 10 years younger and a full head of hair, so there's some big differences.
Dashing.
But
He's dashing.
Tyler Zahn went through some trauma in the Air Force that I never did, and it affected him. And it affects how he is as a character in my books, his struggles to redefine himself, to kind of come back from his downfalls in the military are kind of the defining parts of the start of the series. And then as he progresses from one book to another, he meets new challenges and he has new character challenges. So, and those experiences are different than me, and it's fun to write. If it was a story about my life, they'd be pretty boring. So I had a lot of fiction and a lot of adventure.
Well, I don't know about the boring part, but again, a lot of people say you got to write what you know. Well, to a certain degree, right? But then uh, you have fun with the embellishments, with the taking risks in some cases. So in Stable, holy mackerel, you have no, Scorched. Wait, Scorched. Scorched is what the latest one that I was reading. You have murder, you have an art heist, you have a huge fire, and again, uh, Colorado and all over the place, we have troubles with fires, right? And fires are horrendous and tricky, and people get trapped. You have a missing friend still. You talk about NFTs. Of course, you have search and rescue stuff in here. I mean, this is what am I missing? What didn't you put in here? Little, little bit of romance. I mean,
That book was a lot of fun to write.
and it was a lot of fun to read. And let me just say, each of these has been fun to read and try to figure out because again, these are mysteries, and you do an amazing job with building suspense. And again, I think you get better with every book. They're all awesome, and you have obviously already won some awards, and we could talk about some of that later. But you kept me on the edge with this one, and it was so much fun to read. So this is a series of four, and you have a fifth one coming out we'll talk about in a bit. But are you following any kind of formula for doing this? How are you doing all these? And they're all great. How are you doing them?
So when you asked me about how I got into writing, and I
Yeah.
said, well, I decided when COVID kicked off and I was going to write a book, that kind of made it sound like, oh, it's just a simple decision. Um, the missing part of the story was it took me 3 years to find anybody who was interested in publishing any of the books. And in fact, when I finally did start uh, with a publisher, um, it wasn't with the very first book I wrote. It was the second book, and I had to talk them into to looking at the third. So it was more of a journey than I first made it sound when you asked the question. Um, am I following a formula? Um, the books are not about search and rescue. Search and rescue is kind of a B story,
Yeah.
but the ideas all come from some type of search and rescue angle. So Stable was based off of a real search and rescue mission about a missing girl. And of course, in real life, we found the girl and there was no problems. But I came up with the idea, well, what would happen if you found a girl, but it wasn't the girl you were looking for? And the book
Yeah.
launched from there.
Yeah.
And the second book, I asked my sons for an idea, and they knew the premise behind Stable. And they said, well, what would happen if you were out looking for people and one of the search and rescue people disappeared? And I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that happen before. And that's where that came from. And then Scorched, which you held up. Uh, this was inspired. It was really inspired, kind of Agatha Christie, where locked room mystery, and I worked in the search and rescue after the fact for to helping people out with a fire. So search and rescue, real world missions have had a lot of inspiration for um, the plots and the most or the book that's coming out in December, Havoc. There's been three Black Hawk helicopter crashes in the Collegiate Peaks over the
Yeah.
last 30
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
and this book is the fourth. There's a crash
Oh,
out there with Hats aircraft out of Eagle County, and the book opens with that. It's not a spoiler, and takes off from there. So the books are not designed all around search and rescue, but search and rescue inspires the beginnings of the plot for all of them.
yeah. My husband, Mike, was first on scene on one of those crashes when we lived in Leadville. So I'm,
That was the Mount Massive one, I think,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Right in your backyard.
yeah, yeah, it was. So you've got some fabulous material to work with. One of the things that kind of surprised me, and again, you have these little tidbits, right? Talk about the shoelace incident with the guy who was tied up. Do you remember that?
I do.
Using a shoelace. I
I
read that and I'm
do.
like, oh my gosh, this is, I don't know, should we be telling people this?
Were you familiar with that one?
No.
So when I was in the Air Force, they taught us how to get out of zip ties if we were ever captured. And the synthetic shoelaces that come with the combat boots, you can use those in a zigzag motion to get out of zip ties. And I threw that in from real world experience, having done it in my um, escape training during the military.
Yeah. So yeah, again, listeners out there listening to Cam Torrens and his Tyler Zahn novel series, you can learn some tips that might come in handy if you're ever tied up or trapped in a place and you can't get out of it. And it's good stuff. So, all right. With each book, do you find that they're getting easier to write, or what are the challenges of keeping a series going? Both those
The first time,
questions.
the first time I talked to you, I talked a bit about my process, and that was to outline a book and then write 1,000 words a day for 3.5 months, and then dive into a longer process of rewrites. And that hasn't changed that much. But for this book that's coming out in December, Havoc, the helicopter crash, was the first time that I decided to try to write the book seat of the pants rather than a full outline in the beginning.
Oh, wow.
That that did not go well for me.
Okay,
I
why
found
not?
out
What?
that I'm definitely a plotter, which shouldn't come as a surprise. I mean, I'm a list keeper, a checklist X box. You know me well enough to know that I don't go anywhere without my schedule. I've got my to-do list. And so, of course, I have an outline, for
Yeah.
every book. And so I got 40,000 words into a book that I wanted to be 80 to 85,000 words. And I was at a standstill because I didn't have an outline and I was done writing what I wanted to write, the helicopter crash, Colorado Trail. And
Period.
it took a week of looking at that before I figured out how I was going to solve this crisis of only having half a book done. And it turned out to be a better book than trying to just add more to a story I already had. I won't go into too much detail about what I did to double the size of the book, but it made it a better book. However, I swore to myself, just like the first book, when I said I would never write in the voice of an 11-year-old girl again, I have now made another resolution to say that I will never write a book without an outline, full outline complete before I start. And in fact, I'm working on I finished the first draft for book 6 now called Hidden Lines, and I had a complete 3 to 4 page outline for this just to make doubly sure that I wouldn't go wandering off into Never Never Land again.
But you just said that you're not going to tell us about what you did to double the size of a book that you had written or a novella that you had written, a 40,000 word story that you had written. I need to know why. I think people out there want to know why or how you did that. Because again, you talk 40,000 words and again, you hear about authors, Margaret Atwood, starting completely over, tossing 100,000 word story and
Right.
starting over. Did you toss those 40,000 words? What did you do? Did you break them up? I need to know
I,
what you
I,
did.
I can share that without spoiling the book. So
Okay.
the second 40,000 words uh, were the were better than the first 40, but they were integrated within the 40. And what I did was I took Scorched, which you finished was written in one timeline. You start at the
Yeah.
beginning, it's got a
Yeah.
middle, it's got an end. Um, but my book, False Summit, before that was a dual timeline. So we worked uh, with the person who disappeared, the stuff that happened before the present, and then we talked about the present with Tyler Zahn trying to solve that mystery. So what I did when I ran into this jam with the Havoc was I made a dual timeline and I took that helicopter crew 5 years prior, what they were doing, and I walked
Oh,
them forward to the present day of that crash. At the same time, I was alternating chapters with people that were in the present.
all right.
And I had a lot of fun with it. And you're going to like it because it's all about an Army helicopter crew. And they open up in flying a mission from Turkey to Iraq in 2016, and it's a lot of fun.
Fun. Hmm. Okay. All right. I trust you because again, these are they're fun reads because again, they keep you guessing. You have so many different aspects going on in them. I mean, so many different characters that you as a reader are going to grow to want to know more about with each book. So, well done on that. So here's a question for you. I have not yet read um, your first one, Damaged.
Damaged.
Damaged. That's a prequel, yes?
That's a prequel.
Tell me why you felt the need to write a prequel.
I felt the need to write a prequel because the story was already written. It was just crap. Um, Damaged is the very, very, very first book that I wrote right when COVID was kicking off, and it was originally called Runoff. And I
Okay.
had no clue what I was doing. And when I was done and I had 100 rejections, I had no clue why I had 100 rejections. And as I put it to the side and started writing the next book and the next book, over the years, I look back on it and I said, "Oh, I cannot believe I was actually sending this off to agents and publishers and trying to get published because I learned so much from the group that you helped lead, Central Colorado Writers, about writing over those years after I wrote that first book. And so I had that crappy book sitting there and I said, well, what could I do? Well, I could rewrite it. And I completely rewrote it. The first book was written in third person, past tense, and I changed it to first person, present tense. And I just from bottom up rewrote the thing. I lopped off 30,000 words that I didn't need from the original plot and just tightened it up, rewrote with everything that I'd learned. And, I think it's out of the four that are published right now, I think it's my best book. And I hope I keep saying that about each one that comes out because I'm still learning.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. And again, oh my gosh, so much that I have to ask you about. So you talk about Central Colorado Writers, which has an amazing critique group of which, we're both members. And holy mackerel, if you're an author out there and you think your stuff is really good, which, you know what, most of us do when we first write something. It's like, this
Right.
is really good because I wrote it and I'm proud of it. And then you go to a critique group and you learn things. Let's just say you learn lots of things. And if you're in a good group, and by that I mean they're not all your friends and family members telling you how great your work is. They're people who uh, know about writing and are readers too. And a reader will tell you if something doesn't make sense or if they don't like a character or if or whatever. They'll find the missing plot holes, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely. So you've done that. You've also done a lot of extra work in the writing field. We both participated in. I participated in one class. You participated in more with David Robbins. You want to talk a little bit
Yes,
about that, which what we have learned from him,
the Mighty Pen Project
the
has
Mighty
been
Pen Project
it's
for
been an
veterans.
important part of my writing progression, and that writing is an opportunity for veterans to tell their stories from their military service or just from their life in general. And I learned so much from David L. Robbins, who's a New York Times bestselling author and is generous with his time and instruction for veterans. And in fact, just this past spring, I had the opportunity he helped me turn one of my pieces that I wrote for that into a stage play. And it was performed on stage at the Virginia War Memorial in Richmond, Virginia at the beginning of April, which that was another thing that I just learned a tremendous amount about what it takes to take a written piece and turn it into a stage play and to tighten things up. It really helped my writing a lot. Neat experience.
Do you have that on video?
I do not. So there were some rules about it was professional actors, and so there were rules about videoing them when not being able to pay royalties and things like that. But they are taking it. So it was a one act play, and it was joined three others, so a total of four plays. And it appears that they're looking at taking them on the road for MWR shows at military bases. So they're in the discussion phase of that right now. So there might be
MWR,
opportunities in the future.
morale, welfare,
Morale, welfare, and
recre
recreation. Right.
recreation. Yeah, the soldiers.
So that was neat. And,
That is fabulous. And, yeah, I interviewed David a while ago. I'll have links to that below, um, and other links to the War
I would like
Memorial.
to say that if there's any veterans, spouses of veterans, parents of veterans, if you look up Mighty Pen Project on the internet, you'll
I'll have a
find links
link.
to where you can
Yeah,
sign up for these online courses.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely fabulous, and his writing too is stunning. So I still think I still think I'm using too many ands and and wases, but it's a challenge and it's wonderful. You talk about editing your work, right? I have recently done a huge edit. I hope it's my last one and my latest novel. And I had him in mind when I was thinking about that. Every time I saw an and with a sentence that ended up being kind of long, I would figure out where I should stop the sentence, take out the and, because one of his tips was that, a very long sentence, you might remember the beginning of it and the end. The last word in a sentence is usually an important word. And so if you can end with an important word and then get rid of that and start with a new sentence, you double the enjoyment, I think, of the reading experience. So,
Uh, one of many Davidisms that I've tried to incorporate into my writing.
yeah. Do you remember any others?
I think I've got a list somewhere. I'll have to share
We,
that with you.
we've got a list. He's an amazing instructor, and kind of brutal. He's the kind of reader that you would want to give you feedback, only if you have a very tough skin, right?
Exactly, exactly. He's like I don't know, the Bill Belichick or of writing coaches.
Does not
Uh,
pull any punches, that's for sure.
but wants
So,
the very best from you.
yeah, absolutely.
So
So your experiences with search and rescue again come out so much in here. I want you to talk to our listeners a bit about search and rescue because again, we're recording this in July and we live in Colorado, but in lots of places there are national parks and people go out and then search and rescue has to get involved. So what are some of the mistakes that people make? And again, you bring it up in your books too in different ways.
right. Well, in Chaffee County, one of the biggest issues we have are we have 14,000 foot peaks within our search and rescue area of responsibility. And so we get a lot of calls for people climbing mountains. And two biggest mistakes people make are one, splitting up when they're hiking with other people, and two, shortcuts. They'll get to the top and they'll be like, man, I can't believe I went to all those switchbacks. It looks like I can just go down that gully and get back to my car twice as fast. The trails are there for a reason. And the reason they don't take those shortcuts is because they don't work. They usually end up in a cliff or some way you can't get down. So
Right.
don't split up and don't take shortcuts.
So yeah, I mean, the shortcuts, yeah, you could end up somewhere completely where you don't know you are or how to get back to a trail. And so why not split up, right? You go in with a group of 5 people and one of them is dragging you back because, they're not prepared. Why don't you just leave them on the trail and the rest of you go up and then come back and get that
Right. For
other
one,
person?
it's not nice. And
Not nice.
right. But yes, it's just so much easier when it's easier to find one group that got lost than two people that might have, or three. The more people you got going out and doing different things, going different directions, the harder it is to figure out what happened and where they're all at. One thing I will tell people is that we always encourage people to use personal locator beacons like the old InReach and stuff. But these days, if you have an iPhone 14 or above, it has the ability to text 911 when you're out of service. And it's just over the last year, our call volume has gotten to about 25-30% of these calls from phones that didn't have service that are texting 911, and we're getting our missions that way. So if you don't want to spend the money on a personal locator beacon, I encourage you
To
to
upgrade your phone.
consider an iPhone 14 or above because that can save your life as well.
So, talking about saving your life, what are legitimate reasons for calling search and rescue? What are legitimate reasons as opposed to when you should not request? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, the main reasons you should call are one, that you're lost, or two, that you're injured.
Okay.
Um, those are the main reasons. But of course, there's some judgment in there. So if you're not lost and you're not injured, but you can no longer, you're totally exhausted and you're not going to move, then overnight on a mountain can be life-threatening. And so that means there's potential injury. And so we in the search and rescue don't make that decision when we get the call for you. If you call because you're too exhausted to take another step, we're going to come get you. But we always would also encourage people to evaluate where you're at and how often you've hiked above 12, 13, 14,000 feet and whether you should undertake that hike in the first place. That's what we would encourage because it's a lot of resources to put out in the field. Uh,
And you all get paid so much, right?
Well, that's an important point. People wonder about, oh, do I need to have a search and rescue card or something to get rescued? You don't. We will rescue you no matter where you are, no matter what the reason, and we won't charge you. Where you might get charged is an ambulance ride at the bottom of the mountain that you're hiking or the river that we pulled you out of, or a helicopter ride from where you're going. The helicopters are not part of search and rescue, and there are charges involved with those. But we don't charge you. The search and rescue cards that you can get are cards are the same type of thing with your fishing license or your off-road vehicle license. It just means if you have one of those, that we can turn in paperwork to the state and get reimbursed for the mission that we rescued you on. So it helps us because normally we go and we don't get any money for rescuing you. But if you have one of those cards, we can turn in the number and the state will reimburse us for gas and mileage and that type of thing. So every little bit helps since we
So,
operate on
yeah,
grants, donations, and those
yeah.
things.
So, search and rescue teams can get money. You, as a search and rescue member and leader, you're all volunteers. You don't get a dime.
We don't get a dime. We
You
just
don't
get the
get
opportunity to be outside.
Right, right. So, this is an important point, people out there. When you look at the top of a mountain, you say, "Oh, I can see the top of the mountain." So I'll just you know, throw a piece of gum in my backpack and have my sandals and I'll be down in a couple hours. It doesn't work that way. And again, the atmospheric conditions from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain can change from, you're in 85 degrees downtown, the top of the mountain, it could be snowing. It could be thunder and lightning. And again, in the afternoon times, around our area in particular, you don't want to be on the top of the mountain in the afternoon times because that's when typically, right, clouds roll in. You don't want to get stuck up there.
That's right. Yeah. Uh, the website 14ers.com is a great one to go to before you hike your first 14er. So
Yeah, or before you hike anything, be prepared. Be prepared, people. Don't be putting search and rescue team members at risk. And again, that's one thing. You guys won't do a mission that would put you at risk, right? To save somebody else.
we evaluate. We have a form that evaluates the risk of the mission and what kind of risk it provides to our members. And so we're willing to take some risk, but there's a range, and there's some levels where no, we won't go do it. We will try to look for a different resource.
Yeah. So Cam, again, you have this amazing series of books. I think you have some exciting news to share about some things that are coming up, event-wise, award-wise. What's coming up? You got a trip coming up, don't you?
I do. So you held up Scorched, which was the third book, The Locked Room Mystery. And just last month, I was notified that it was one of 5 finalists for the Killer Nashville Writing Awards and in the Best Mystery category. So,
Wow.
yeah.
National.
So I'm excited about that. And I'm heading out to Nashville in the third week of August to attend the awards dinner and find out how Scorch did with the other 4 books in its category. So very excited about that.
Have you studied some of the other finalists?
I've looked at their books, and let me just say that in a competition, I've got the competition. My was cut out for me. Very good, very good books that I'm competing against, and I really, uh, I'm just excited to be amongst the 5. It was very
That is
flattering.
an
So,
incredible honor. And Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers.
so I'm one of 3 finalists for Rocky Mountain Fiction Writer of the Year. And I'm going to a summer get together in Denver this Sunday. Find out how I fared in that competition. And again, I'm I can't believe I'm in with the other 2 folks as being a nominee. So
Well,
that's
I
really neat.
can. I can. I can.
I've loved going to those conferences. I've been to, I think, 3 Rocky Mountain Fiction Writer conferences, and involved with the organization. So it's really neat to have somebody that's not out in the front range. I think another finalist is from Utah, so we got some out of towners, out of Denver's that are in the competition, and that's neat that it's a broad organization with a lot of reach.
Yes, that's where we met David Robbins at one of the Rocky Mountain Fiction
Yeah,
Writers conferences. Yeah, and
yeah.
there's a tip for you people out there. Join if you want to be published, if you want to get better at your writing, join writing groups. Join and even beyond your own hometown, right? I mean, start at your hometown, but take a chance and go and take some of these courses from people who are published and well known, and they're great networking experiences, and you could learn so much, right? So,
Oh,
Cam,
I
yeah,
mean, I'll just say it out loud that the very, very first writing group I ever joined was at Laurel.McChargue's recommendation. So she got me going.
yeah. Well, I kind of had an idea that you had stories to tell, and I was just so glad with your enthusiasm. And now, by the way, you're the vice president of the Central Colorado Writers because you just don't have enough on your plate, right?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Well, you have another. Your next book is coming out when? And do you have a copy of it you can put up on the screen?
So I do. So the next book was the helicopter crash,
Yeah. Show us a
and
copy of that cover
yeah,
if
I
you got
just
it.
got the publisher sent it the other day, and
Yeah.
I'm hitting screen share right now, and so
It'll come up any minute now.
uh,
When does this one come out?
comes out the third week in December, and it's
Oh,
called
right before
Havoc.
Havoc, right before Christmas. There it is. There it is. Cam Torrens, Havoc, Trouble on the Trail. Another Tyler Zahn novel. Ooh, all right.
Yeah, so you can see, and the Colorado Trail, the through hike process is an important part of the book, as well as the helicopter helicopter crash, and so the trail
Yep.
helicopters can be there. I'm
Yep.
excited about the cover.
Yep.
Going still, it's not absolutely final. I'm working with the designer to possibly see if we can make the author name pop out a little better, but
Yes. Yeah.
I think people will be able to figure out who wrote it. And
Yes.
yeah, I'm real excited about this. I sent in the final round of corrections to the manuscript yesterday as well. So this should be up for pre-sale in about 2 to 3 weeks.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
wow.
gonna I'll pull that off the screen now.
All
But
right. So, what other advice might you have for people out there who want to write anything? I mean, you pretty much focus on these mysteries, with murder and adventure and all that. What do you recommend to authors out there?
uh, this is not original advice. I'm sure writers have heard it before, but don't be scared of that shitty first draft. So yeah, for me, writing is so much easier if I'm taking a big bunch of words that I've already written and trying to fix them than it is trying to get it right either the first time I wrote it or even in the first session in which I wrote it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I usually don't go back and do a ton of editing until I've finished the manuscript. I might do it if I'm getting some chapters and I'm submitting them through the critique group. I'll go back and I'll do some editing so that I don't look that bad in front of my peers. But as far as really trying to get it absolutely perfect, I usually try to get a first draft done. So, I said this before, I do 1,000 words a day for 3 to 4 months until I've got a whole bunch of words. And then I'll take 5, 6, 7 months to go back and pare those words down and try to get them right. So that's my biggest advice is don't wait for the perfect idea or try to get the perfect paragraph or the perfect anything. Get it done and then worry about all that stuff later.
Yes, yes. National Novel Writing Month, the month of November, NaNoWriMo. That's their goal of that. If you have ever participated, look it up. It's to write
Right.
50,000 words without stopping, without editing, without going back,
Right.
without questioning anything. Just get it out there. Because again,
Yeah.
I mean that's so important. I know people who haven't finished their books because they don't have the perfect first sentence yet. And holy mackerel,
Right.
you're not going to have the perfect your first chapter might end up being the third one that you write, right? I mean, until you finish your work, you really can't make those big changes, those remarkable changes.
Right. And
Even things
sometimes and
like,
sometimes that's where the hard stuff is, like where you're at in your novel, 2183. So you've written it, but it's the rewrite where the real money's made.
and you know what? I got to tell you, I have never been um, excited about edits before until this novel. And what really excited me, and again, a piece of advice that I'll give you out there, whatever you want to write, read a lot in that genre, right? Because I asked you, do you have a formula or whatever? You read a lot of the stuff that you want to write. If you want to write something, read a lot, find out what works for you, find out what surprises you. So one person I interviewed said that she would read books and outline how the author did different things and the pacing on it before she wrote her books. And I mean, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of study. Finishing a book it's not easy. It's not easy. It's very time consuming. So with my latest novel, if you let me just share a little bit, and I'll
Please.
even show you um, the cover. Can I do that? Yeah. When I thought I finished it, I realized that I had started it several years ago. And at that time, kind of like you, I wrote it in the past tense. And while I was listening actually to another book, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to write it in the present tense, first person present tense. And so talk about a major edit, having to pretty much rewrite every single sentence
Mhm.
from past tense to present tense. And in the process, I cut out so many things. And again, I've had some amazing pre-readers. You pre-read my first version. I think you'll be surprised by the second. Linda Ditchkiss, who's the president of Central Colorado Writers Group, she gave me pages and pages and pages of suggestions. And holy mackerel, this is so much better. I'm going to show you, and this is a proof copy. So I'm going to put my fingers across the line, but here's a proof copy.
Nice.
2183.
Oh, love that
2183.
title
That's my
font.
I'm very excited about it. Um, and my new proof copies, because after I got this proof copy, I read through it from page one all the way through. And of course I found tons and tons of errors, places where I forgot to bring something to the present tense or missing an S or something. So I really had fun rewriting it because I knew it was going to be so much better. So
It's it's a process that you love to hate.
exactly, yeah. And it should be a process that makes you proud when you're done. And because you're putting this out into the world, and I've said this before in different interviews, once you put your work out there, it's not yours anymore. It belongs to the public and the readers, and they're going to have their own opinions about how well or not well you did. So be happy with it. And yeah, what more can I say? Cam Torrens, this has been absolutely fabulous. People out there, the author, Cam Torrens, the books, Stable, Damaged, which I don't have a copy of yet, Fall Summit, Scorched. You have a copy? Do you have a copy of? Ah, there you go, Damaged. There's Damaged for those of you listening. And the new one coming out in December with a pre-order. Do you have a pre-order link yet?
Not yet. Not
Okay,
yet.
all right.
Couple.
But so where do you want people to follow you so that they can pre-order this as soon as it is available?
So I've got a website at camtorrens.com, and I'll be posting pre-order links there. And I'm also on Facebook, Cam Torrens Writer, and LinkedIn, Cam Torrens, and Instagram, Cam Torrens.
All
So
right. And I
if
will have
anybody's interested, I will have pre-order links up for that.
awesome, awesome.
Uh,
Can't
yeah, I
wait
just
to.
wanted to say thanks, Laurel, for taking the time to have me on your show. It's a real
Well,
honor, and you're always so much fun to talk to.
and again, your books are fun to read and they're wonderful. And congratulations on all the honors that are coming your way. And you keep going with this Tyler Zahn series. Listeners out there, I will have links below to things that we talked about. And please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my site. And if you have a conversation that you'd like to have with me, you don't have to be an author, but email me. I'll have my email link below too, and we'll have a chat. Cam, keep being awesome. Keep saving people. People out there don't do stupid things that make people like Cam have to go out and rescue you. But do enjoy the wilderness responsibly.
Right.
Cam, I'll see you around town.
All right. Thanks, Laurel.
Thank you. Bye.